Thank you, because I love Indian movies. But how was film born in India? Today, in the next 3 minutes, I want to tell you the story of dadasaheb phalke, the father of Indian cinema.
Wonderful research. Although it is not their fault, I also believe the same, that dadasaheb phalke was the father of Indian cinema. But you have to unlearn two things. First one is dadasaheb phalke is not the father of Indian cinema, and secondly, the father of world cinema is an Indian. Yes. Well, my last video got more dislikes because I proved Mr. Abhijit Chavda wrong. His fan can't take criticism. I asked him to prove me wrong with data, but however, I know that this video is gonna get more dislikes because I'm going to criticize their level of research. So let's start. Even at this point of video, you know that dadasaheb phalke is the father of Indian cinema, right? This is what we are being fed since the beginning. But when you will get to know about this man, your notion will completely be changed, believe me. Seriously. He never got his due respect for regionalism. He was a Bengali, and there had been no movie on him until 21st century. In this video, we will discuss about his milestone of success. The influence of Bombay industry in Indian cinema is eternal, we know this, and that is the sole reason dadasaheb phalke got the recognition to be the father of Indian cinema. And nobody cares to remember the contribution of Hiralal as the forefather of Indian cinema. After this video ends, go and search his name in Wikipedia. You will get to know about this man at least. Obviously, some research had been done on him in India and in Bangladesh. Film director Arun Roy has already made a biographical film on him. You can watch it. And after so many debates, so many discussions, so many studies, Hiralal got an award to be named after him. And it even took 100 years after his death. A stage is now called Hiralal Manch at Kolkata International Film Festival. Maybe this is nothing compared to his contribution to the Indian cinema, but less is more when there is nothing at all. Still, debates are going on his contribution to the Indian cinema. Many are of the opinion that as Hiralal only captured the scenes from the theatre, he should not be recognized as the father of Indian cinema. But the time, we have to keep in mind the time in which he all these things, no one can really deny. And he is not only the pioneer in terms of camera shoots, but also the editing, the lighting, and the many aspects related to movie making. And it is during the end of his career that dadasaheb phalke just started. His first ever cinema, Raja Harishchandra, was released on 3rd of May 1913, while Ali Baba by Hiralal was at least 10 years older than that. Renowned movie maker Adur Gopal Krishnan has clearly declared that if the title of the father of Indian cinema to be conferred to somebody, then he will definitely attribute this title to Hiralal only and nobody else. However, today he got some recognition, at least on paper. But it took even 100 years after his passing away. Now let's talk about the first Indian film. No, not Raja Harishchandra, but Ali Baba by Hiralal. The film Ali Baba, based upon a drama by Hirod Prasad Vidya Vinod, was released on 23rd of January in 1903, which has 2 hours of playtime. Although the screening started since 1980 through various screenings. Here it is important to mention that The Great Train Robbery was released on December in 1903, which is considered as the first ever film to be made in the history of world cinema. Still, Ali Baba is a year older, at least a year older than that. Can you believe it? But Hiralal's film never got that recognition. I'm just telling what happened in 1903. There is more. His first ever film, titled The Dancing Scene from the Flower of Persia, which was released in 1898. Even before this, he made another film called Brahmer, but I'm skipping that because its date and time is not proven yet. And beside all this, he is the maker of first ever advertisement film, first ever political documentary, first ever film banned by the state, first ever documentary, first ever maker of color film by coloring the celluloid, the first ever film company, the first ever lab technician, the first ever film developer, the first ever gold medalist in still photography. And the list just goes on. Now let's talk about his first ever film, Ali Baba. In 1903, the history of world cinema got its first ever story-based film called Ali Baba, which was produced by his own production house called the Royal Bioscope Company. And this was hugely popular back then. Then on 1905, he made the first ever political movie called the Grand Patriotic Film. He made the first ever journal-based political documentary, The Visit, and this was the first ever politically banned movie in the history of world cinema too. It is known from the research that the first ever story-based film in the history of world cinema is Hiralal since Ali Baba, because The Great Train Robbery by Edwin S. Porter, released on 3rd of December 1903, although recognized as the first ever full-fledged story-based film, had only a duration of 10 minutes. So we can proudly say that Hiralal since Ali Baba is the first ever full-fledged story-based film in the history of world cinema. On the verge of 19th century, in the land of undivided Bengal, we saw the groundbreaking Bengali Renaissance, from Raja Ram Mohan Roy to Ishar Chandra Vidyasagar to Madhusudan Datta to Acharya Jagadish Chandra Bose, Rabindranath Tagore, Bekam Rokeya, Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose, Kazi Nazrul Islam, all are the celebrated figure in that Bengali Renaissance. And on that time, Hiralal Singh created an almost forgotten yet unforgettable chapter in the history of Indian as well as world cinema. But it is so unfortunate that no Panjika, no film calendar, no government seal, no books, even no film professor's note ever mentioned his name. Yes, his name. Is everything written on the history books are true? Did not anyone take away the credit of another's contribution? We can clearly see the disruption in the beginning of the history of Indian cinema. I can bet that hardly any people know his name, and it is a matter of great regret if we forget him. On 2nd of August in 1868, he was born at Bogjuri village in Dhaka of undivided India. As always, cinema remained the ultimate medium of entertainment throughout the ages in this subcontinent, and this land is producing at least 3,000 cinema per year. And whatever you call the root or the forerunner or the father of all this grand happening is Mr. Hiralal Singh. And I believe that the world should at least know his contribution. So I would request everyone to please share this video to your friends WhatsApp group, because I believe his contribution should at least get a recognition what he deserved. Say what?